So I've been taking $500 at least every single month from my husband's bank account. And you're probably thinking, well, why are you taking money from your husband's bank account? Wouldn't it be a joint bank account that you guys both share? The thing is, my husband, he has some big fancy job. He doesn't even make more money than I do, but in his head he does. In his head, he's the CEO of finance. He wants to be in charge of every single financial decision. So he has all the passwords to the banks. Whenever I get paid from my job, it goes directly into his bank account and he gives me an allowance every single week. The thing is, I'm getting pretty sick and tired of explaining to him why I went to Starbucks coffee or why I decided to get this nail polish. I'm going to do something crazy. I'm going to leave him. But first, I'm going to siphon a lot of money, $500 a month at least, until I have enough to get a down payment on a house all the way in Nebraska. And then when he goes to work one day, I'm going to put divorce papers on the table and I'm going to leave. And I'll let you guys witness it. I met him when I was 23. He was the hotshot financial advisor, drove a Beamer, always wore those expensive watches that he would casually mention cost more than most people's cars. I was working at a bookstore, barely making rent, and he swept me off my feet with fancy dinners and promises of taking care of me forever. Gosh, I was so stupid. We got married exactly after 1 year. He insisted I quit my job because no wife of mine needs to work. I thought it was romantic, and I thought he was being protective and caring. I didn't realize he was building a cage. The financial control started small. First, it was him handling all the bills because he was better with numbers. Then it was combining our accounts because that's what married people do. Before I knew it, I had to ask permission to buy a $5 coffee. He would give me an allowance every week, $200 for groceries and household stuff, and if I needed more, I had to explain why and show receipts, the whole 9 yards. Had to say things like, "You're lucky you don't have to worry about money. And this is why I handle the finances, you just would get confused." Always with the patronizing smile. His friends would joke about how I was the kept woman, and he would laugh along, squeezing my hand too tight under the table. I tried talking to him about it once, maybe 3 years in. Said I wanted to access our accounts, wanted to know what we had, where it was going, and he lost it. Not yelling lost it, but that quiet, cold anger that made my stomach drop. Told me I was being ungrateful, that other women would kill to have a husband who took care of everything. That night, he showed me our account balance. We had almost $200,000 saved up, and then he changed all the passwords. The thing about being financially trapped is that it's invisible. Everyone saw this perfect suburban couple. His mother, Francine, thought I was living the dream. My own mother told me I should be thankful I caught such a good provider. But I couldn't buy myself new underwear without permission. I couldn't get my hair cut without justifying the expense, and I was a grown woman, getting an allowance like a kid. Then Marin started working at his firm. I noticed the changes before I found out about the affair. New cologne, working late, suddenly very protective of his vehicle, and his phone. The gym membership he actually used, the classics, but what really gave it away was the money. Suddenly my allowance got cut to $150 because we need to tighten our belt. Meanwhile, there was a mysterious $300 cash withdrawal twice a week. Yeah, I found out for sure on a Tuesday. He left his laptop open and there it was. Emails about their business trip that were definitely not for business, pictures from the conference in Miami, where he told me spouses were not invited. The hotel receipts for 2. I sat there at our kitchen table reading the emails, and something just broke. Or maybe it finally fixed itself, I don't know. But I realize I've been slowly disappearing for years. I was 31 years old and I had nothing that was mine. No money, no job, history, no independence, just a husband who was doing stuff with his secretary while telling me I was too stupid to manage a checking account. That's when I started the plan. It began with groceries. I would buy $150 worth of stuff, but tell them I spent $200. Cash back at self-checkout, $20 here, $30 there. Never enough to seem suspicious on the bank statement, just look like groceries cost more. Inflation, Then I got creative. Started selling stuff. That ugly vase his aunt gave us for our wedding. Sold it on Facebook Marketplace for 50 big ones. Told him it broke. The spare laptop he never used said it got a virus and I had to toss it. I actually sold it for $300. Every few months I'd have a yard sale while he was at work and sell things he never even noticed we had. Old golf clubs, duplicate kitchen gadgets, clothing that he had not worn in decades. My mom, she was even in on it. God bless her, she would give me $500 for my birthday and Christmas. Real money. Not just the check Silas would deposit, told him he was, she was giving me $100 and the rest went into my secret stash. The side job was the riskiest part. I started doing freelance writing online while he was at work. Nothing big, just a blog post and product descriptions. Maybe $400 to $500 a month. I set up a separate bank account at a completely different bank, paperless statements to my mother's address, and told Silas I was taking an online crafting class to keep busy. 5 years? 5 years I did this, and every month $500 minimum disappeared into my escape fund. Some months more if I could manage it. While he was out there buying Marin designer handbags with our money, I was squirreling away cash in a shoebox in the back of my drawer, the one place I knew he would never look. The house hunting was all online at first. I knew I needed to get far away. I found this little place in Nebraska. Yeah, Nebraska of all places, but it's perfect. It's such a small town, so the cost of living is like insanely low. And 800 miles away from him. The house was $35,000, but of course it would need a lot of maintenance. Yeah, it needed work, but it had good bones. I told him I was visiting my sick cousin for a long weekend. I drove out there and saw it in person, and I fell in love. It looked like a rundown house to most people, but I knew that it was mine. Buying it was terrifying. I had to do everything through a lawyer to keep my name off the paperwork he might see. Set up an LLC, bought the house through that, and spent the next year slowly furnishing it. Every girl's weekend was actually me driving to Nebraska and painting some walls. Buying furniture from garage sales and making that house mine. He never suspected anything, why would he? I was just his dumb housewife who could not possibly understand complex things like escrow and property taxes, and the day I found out Marin was moving in was surreal. He actually sat me down, said he wanted a divorce, that he's been unhappy for years, and had found someone who understood him. He generously offered to let me stay in the house for a month while I figured things out. Like I was some kind of charity case. Like I had not been planning this for 5 years. I played the part. I cried, I begged, I put on a whole show, and he actually looked satisfied for once. Like this was confirming everything he believed about me. That night, while he was at Marin's, I started my final preparation. The leaving was almost anticlimactic. I mean, he was going to work that morning like any other day. Kissed me on the forehead and told me the divorce lawyer would be in touch, and reminded me that Marin would be moving in that evening. Smiled as I wished him a good day. The second his car turned the corner, I started loading mine. Only took what was mine, clothing, personal items, the KitchenAid mixer my grandmother left me, and left all the fancy stuff that he bought to show off. At 2 p.m. I placed the divorce papers on the bed. I had them drawn up months ago, just waiting. My lawyer said it was a smart play to buy the house before filing. Separate property acquired before the divorce proceedings. He could not even touch it. The drive to Nebraska was the longest and the shortest of my life. I stopped at a rest stop somewhere in Iowa and just laughed hysterically like a hyena. This truck driver looked at me like I was crazy. Hell, maybe I am, but I'm free. His first call came at 7 o'clock. I didn't answer. The voicemail started friendly, confused, then angry, then absolutely nuclear when he realized the money was gone, not all of it. I only took what I put in, my secret savings, but $30,000 was missing over 5 years. I guess he followed the paper trail. He finally looked at every bank statement he's been ignoring and all those cash withdrawals, all legal, all documented as cash back or ATM. Nothing he could do. The texts were incredible, first demanding I come home, then threatening a lawyer, and then Marin left him. Apparently she didn't want a broke divorce guy living with his mother. Oh yeah, by the way, that's where he's at right now. House got foreclosed on because he could not afford the mortgage alone, and Francine took him in. 47-year-old sleeping in his childhood bedroom with those stupid baseball trophies on the shelves. Now he calls crying and says he's sorry, that he sees how wrong he was, that we can work it out, and last week he sent a text saying I was vindictive and stole our future. Yeah, our future. The one where I was trapped forever while he just did what he wanted. I'm not gonna lie, sometimes at night, in this little house here in Nebraska, somewhere I wonder if I went too far. If I should have just taken the divorce and started over with nothing. My therapist says that the condition talking is what I'm doing, and that, well, I did survival. But it doesn't feel like survival or winning, it feels like nothing, like I'm hollow. The house is nice though, and I painted the kitchen yellow, and he always hated yellow. Got a cat named Leonard, who tracks litter everywhere, and don't have to explain the expenses to anyone. I work at the local library now, making barely anything, but it's mine. Today I bought a $6 latte without asking permission, and I almost cried at the coffee shop. His mother, she calls me sometimes, tells me that I'm heartless, that I destroyed her baby boy, that marriage means standing by your man. I usually hang up, but last time I listened to the whole spiel. She sounded tired, maybe she's getting sick of him being there. I know everyone's probably going to say I'm not the a-hole, that he deserved it, girl power. But sitting here at 3 a.m., eating cold food in an empty kitchen, I don't feel like some empowered woman who got revenge. I just feel tired and sad and wondering if I wasted 5 years planning an escape when I could have just left. But I didn't have the money to leave. That's what people don't get. When someone controls everything, you can't just walk away. You need resources. You need a plan. You need to be smarter than they think you are. My lawyer says the divorce will be final soon. He gets the debt from the foreclosed house, and I get my little place in Nebraska. Clean break. No alimony either. Sometimes I dream about the house we had and wake up thinking I'm still there. I'm still trapped. And then I hear Leonard knocking something over and remember I'm free. I don't know, maybe I am the a-hole. Maybe I should have confronted him years ago and demanded equality and fought for my rights as his wife. Maybe I'm just as bad as him for lying for 5 years. Maybe. Revenge isn't supposed to feel this empty. The microwave is still beeping, and Leonard is meowing for breakfast even though it's in the morning. Tomorrow I have to work at the library and help Miss Patterson find another romance novel where the hero isn't a lying, cheating jerk. Good luck with that, Miss Patterson. I think about calling him sometimes when I'm lonely. It's not to reconcile, though. Just to, I don't know, hear any human voice who knows who I used to be. But then I remember the allowances, the patronizing smile, and the way he would introduce me as the wife like I was an accessory. The emails with Marin about how I was sweet but simple. So instead I sit in my yellow kitchen, in my simple house, and my simple life that feels like wearing someone else's clothing, free but floating, safe but solo. Maybe that's what I am now. Not the a-hole, not the hero, just another woman who's in Nebraska with a cat and a library job and $30,000 worth of secrets. I should probably go to sleep now, or at least turn off that microwave. Edit. Just realized I never changed my Netflix password and he's still using my profile, watching The Office reruns. It feels like the saddest detail somehow because we used to love that show together. Edit 2. Stop messaging me asking for tips on how to do this yourself. I'm not running a masterclass on escaping financial abuse. Google it. Also, Leonard says hi. Edit 3. To everyone saying I should write a book with what? Chapter 1, I saved money. Chapter 2, I bought a house. Chapter 3, I left. Riveting. Though I guess it should still be better than Marin's unfinished lifestyle blog about having it all. And that yes, I found, and yes, I hate red sometimes at 2 a.m. Don't judge me. I'm going to bed, or at least I'm going to lay in bed and stare at the ceiling. Same thing, really. Wow, guys, that was the last comment by the original poster. Now we're going to check out 2 commenters who read the same story we just read. However, these 2 people do not agree with one another, so here it comes from Thunder Puppet 94. Are you kidding me right now, OP? Everyone's gonna pat her on the back, but this is theft, plain and simple. She stole $30,000 from marital assets, and I don't give a crap if he was controlling or had an affair. 2 wrongs don't make a right. She could have filed for divorce. She could have gotten a lawyer and split assets legally. Instead, she spent 5 years being a criminal. And before everybody jumps down my throat about financial abuse, where's the proof? He gave her money every week. He showed her the accounts. Maybe he managed the money because she clearly has no problem stealing it. You know what adults do when they're unhappy? They communicate, they get counseling, and they don't elaborate revenge schemes like some Lifetime movie villain. She had options: women's shelters, legal aid, family support. Her mother was clearly willing to help, but no. She chose to be deceitful for half a decade, and now she's crying in her kitchen about feeling empty. Good. That's called guilt. That's what happens when you base your entire escape plan on lies and theft. The saddest part is she convinced herself she's some kind of hero. She's not. She's a thief who got lucky with legal options, and all of you enablers cheering her on are why people on the internet are insane. If a man did this, secretly draining accounts, bought property behind his wife's back, then vanished, you would be calling for his head. But because she placed a victim card, suddenly theft is empowering. Yeah, well, he dodged a bullet. Imagine being married to someone capable of that level of deception. She's showing her true colors, and it's ugly. Hope that empty house in Nebraska was worth becoming a criminal. Comment 2 does not think the same way. Comment 2 is from Radical Mermaid 22. Says, holy crap, Thunder Puppet, did you even read the post that we did? Or did you just see women takes money and start frothing at the mouth? This comment is exactly why women stay trapped in abusive relationships, because a-holes like you minimize their experience and call them criminals for trying to survive. She didn't steal anything. She took cash back from grocery money that was already allocated to her. She sold her possessions. She worked a job and saved her earnings, and that controlling piece of crap was withdrawing $600 a week for his affair, while cutting her allowance, and you're mad that she saved $500 a month. Are you his mom, or just another bitter person? Where's the proof of the financial abuse, you ask? I don't know. Maybe the entire post is proof? A grown woman needing permission to buy underwear, having to show receipts for coffee, being denied access to her own marital assets. It's textbook financial abuse, you walnut. And he showed her the accounts once. Yeah, okay. Before changing the passwords, real generous. You know what she couldn't do? Get a lawyer with no money, leave with no resources, and start over with nothing, while he controlled absolutely everything. Women's shelters are for physical abuse emergencies, not long-term housing. Legal aid has waiting lists months long, but sure. Tell us more about all her options from your position of obvious privilege. She didn't base her escape on lies, she based it on survival. 5 years of careful planning, because one wrong move and she would be homeless. And she's not crying because she feels guilty. She's traumatized from years of psychological abuse and isolation. Wake up. But empathy would require you to see women as humans. So I guess that's too much to ask. The only bullet dodged here was OP when she left that abusive sack of potatoes. Now she's free. While he's crying to mommy in mommy's basement, karma is beautiful.